That time when you was jamming to the music in your head. Ooh, buddy, that time when you was jamming to the music in your head. Welcome, 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 you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Would you like, share, and subscribe? Or follow if you on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok. Welcome, 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 you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you in the building. This is just Sylvie, formerly Sylvie 414. I still be bringing that one in the middle. Hi. Still be bringing that one in the middle for a little bit of balance. Why? Because you see things this way, they see things that way. And if we come together for some conversation, we might be able to just understand the other side. You are very welcome. You are very welcome for the nice welcome. I hope y'all are having a great day today. I hope y'all have been having a great week. We only 3 days in, if y'all count Sunday, and you just might as well since it's the first day of the week. So I hope your week continues to get better, though, if it has not been a great week for you. It is good to be here. And y'all see, I got the warrior and the cheeks. And we got a picture of B. Simone. And we're going to talk about B. Simone. But we're going to talk about some other things as well. Now, the first thing that we're going to talk about is the young lady on TikTok who made the TikTok. I watch O'Shea Duke Jackson a lot. I like O'Shea Duke Jackson. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. O'Shea is from the Manosphere. Oh, well, I'm glad you was able to get here. I appreciate you for being here. O'Shea is from the Manosphere, but he's balanced. He's balanced. I don't care if you're a man. I don't care if you're a woman. If you are imbalanced, I probably don't care to watch any of your content. If you can only see things from one side, that's why I said 414 is still the goal. That one in the middle is for balance. The seesaw is in the middle. They put the C and the saw right on a balance beam so that you can, and until your friend trip out on you and jump off. I don't know how many of y'all have been on a seesaw and somebody just jump off. That's when the imbalance happens, but it's all in the name of fun as well. I jumped off of a mini seesaw and I have been jumped off on as well. Okay, y'all. But so he was talking about this young lady on TikTok. That's not going to happen. He was talking about this young lady on TikTok who made the statement that her man has to have some money. And I'm pretty sure that many of y'all, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you done heard somebody say, my man has to have some money. As a woman, my man got to have some money. He can't be out here just broke as a joke or anything like that. To each his own. We all have our own lives to live. And if somebody want a broke man, then, yay for them. They can have what they desire to have as well. But I brought this story because generally, when he brings a story like that, He's bringing that story because he's getting ready to tear into the woman that's speaking those words, because he always is speaking on entitled women. Let me tell you some of the ones that he stays speaking on. He stays speaking on, that's a shame, Tracy Ellis Ross. He stays speaking on Tamara Mowry. He stays speaking on Tiffany Henyard. She used to be the mayor of Detroit, was it? I think it might have been, or it was a town in Michigan. It might not have been Detroit, but it was a town in Michigan, but she's no longer the mayor. He speaks on Remy Ma, and I love Remy Ma. I love all these women. But the balance in you and the growth in you is going to want to be able to understand when somebody is speaking on something that might pique your interest or that might be true. There may be truth in what he's speaking. So those are the people that I like to listen to. I listen to Kevin Samuels to bring me this way, and I don't know many women that, like, everybody feel like Kevin Samuels just drug black women. O'Shea Duke Jackson just had a video where he talked about Boyce Watkins and how he said Kevin Samuels just only liked to drag black women. I get it. Now, I'm like you, Jay. I get it. But also, if you watched Kevin Samuels, if you just wholly watched his channel, you would see it wasn't always about dragging black women. He spoke a lot about humility. The God told me to come up here and speak about humility. Humility is all but saying don't think too highly of yourself. Not don't think you fly. Not that at all. Not that at all. Because God knows that I believe I am too fly. But I don't believe I am too fly. I believe I am very fly. But not fly enough, not so fly that I can't be told a thing. Not so fly that can't nobody look. I got the humility and empathy. You're absolutely positively right. It is a hard thing to come by, but this platform, that's why it's a hard platform to grow, because people don't want to hear about humility and empathy. People want to choose to be arrogant and haughty and prideful overly in all of those things. And we're going to talk about arrogance, because we're going to talk about fools when I bring that word. And a lot of people want to think of fool as just the clown jester and the poor dumb person and things like that. Yeah, but we're going to talk about fools. But right now we're going to talk about this young lady that said her man has to have money. But what struck me, what got me, was the same thing that got O'Shea. After she said her man has to have money, she said, ladies, you have to have something that he wants too. This is not just your world, basically, is what she was saying. Ladies, this is not just your world. He is not but a squirrel trying to get a nut. Not if you want him to have money, not if you want him to be the provider, because you hear a lot of women, the very same women that will talk down on men, talking about they want a man to be a provider. You want a man to be a provider, but then you don't want to hear anything he has to say to you. How does that work? Where they do that at? They do that over there in the land of totally. We ain't talked about the land of totally in quite some time. But you're in the land of totally insane, totally gonna be by yourself forever and ever and ever if you don't think that there is any bending that you want to do. Bend has been my phrase, because Ready to Love, Make a Move said that when the man meets the right woman, he is going to bend. And that's a lot of that entitlement that women have, that the man is supposed to bend, but you're not supposed to bend to him. He supposed to bend to your every whim, and you just supposed to, what? Do what you want to do, be just as masculine as him. No. That young lady said what she wanted, but she also spoke on who she was. She was that softened woman. Thank you. Thank you. Well, all righty. 48 years. That's the hey, 48 years ain't no joke. And I know that it has been work. That's all. We have to work in relationship. We're not gonna like our partner. And I say all the time, I only did 9. I only did 9, but I didn't come out of it just bashing my ex. But y'all been together for 48 years. And for the last 10 not to have been good, there was 38 more that must have been all right, because y'all have been sticking it out. So I'm going to keep y'all in my prayers because I'm team marriage. You know, even when O'Shea speaks about Remy, I speak. Look, y'all, I'm trying to be nosy. Gene, they want to know if you got some marriage tips. If you got some marriage tips, drop them jokers in the chat because you got tips because y'all been together for 48 years. Period. So you're very welcome. Period. Y'all been together for 48 years. That means that you guys have decided that no weapon formed against you gonna prosper, and every tongue that comes against you in judgment, the Most High God will condemn. Up, down. I tell people all the time. Okay. You said everything before that was a mistake? I heard that. I tell people all the time, I'm team marriage. I am team marriage. Just because I did not stay in my marriage does not mean that I am not team marriage. It was just a lot. I was young. My ex-husband and I had been together for 14 years. He provided. He provided. But then I was young. I could not take what he was dishing anymore. That's why I take my hat off to you, Gene. I take my hat off to anybody that stays. I'm not going to condemn somebody for why they stay. If it gets dangerous, I sometimes ask why. But I don't even condemn that at this point. I'm not even going to say thank you. I'm not even going to say that I have never condemned somebody for staying in dangerous situations. But I was made to see things from a different side. That's why I be talking about if you see things from a different side, you'll get some understanding. You're not always going to agree. But I said all of that to say I was watching a video on yesterday that spoke of it was about domestic violence and what is called intimate partner violence is another name that they gave to it. And the young man just went and unalived the young lady and just told the cops and everybody else he was just trying to fast talk and just kept saying they came in here and they pow 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 8 times. He just kept pow pow they up the house 8 times. I and the officer at the end of the video said he was counting. Like he was counting how many times he hit that young lady with the pow pow. That is past crazy. But I said all of that to say that there was a rescue house that spoke on it in one of the articles that I read, because I watched a couple of videos and I read a few articles about it. And the woman that was the head of that rescue house was basically like, it can be just as hard to leave as it is to stay. That should give one compassion. But empathy, compassion, that it's a hard way to be because everybody feels like they're up here, and anybody that's not doing what they're doing is just not worth any compassion, or they call things compassion that are not. So I say, anybody that's willing to work it out, I'm good on you working it out. I promise. I'm good on you working it out. I'm good on you sticking it out. I just told somebody, if our parents and grandparents had not worked it out, some of us would not be here. And now we want to look our nose down on the people that stayed together after we're here. Hi. I didn't say hi back. I apologize. Welcome, 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 you guys. I appreciate y'all for sitting in here with me a spell. But yes, it is okay for you to have. It is okay for you to have specific criteria in your and desires in your relationship, but as a woman, we also have to understand that it's okay for a man to have criteria. No one absolutely, positively knows how anyone lives because you ain't no fly on the wall. You ain't inside of the house or the bedroom with people. And you can talk to you blue in the face about what you will and won't go through. But O'Shea seems to think that's why a lot of folks still be single. And he will speak on men and women. That's why I like O'Shea. If y'all have not ever watched O'Shea Duke Jackson, y'all should take a look at O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's funny, he has good content, and he has balanced content. He is a platform for men, but the Most High sent me to the platform for men so I can come and talk to the ladies a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Not, we have to sweep around our own front door. O'Shea, Oshay. O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's got several different channels. He's got a channel called The Celebrity Junk. I watched The Celebrity Junk and I watched the O'Shea Duke Jackson channel, but he has other channels. I think he said he has a dating channel because he resides in Africa at this point. He's from America. He's actually from California, but he resides in Africa. I think he may have dual citizenship. I'm not quite sure. So all of the stories that I'm going to talk about today come from O'Shea, except for the one that I just spoke about the young man that did his girlfriend in, that unalived his. Excuse me, she was not his girlfriend anymore. The cop at the end said, if you let them talk long enough, they will talk themselves into a hole. You're very welcome, Gene. They will talk themselves into a hole because he went from that was his girlfriend. He used to take her to work every day. So he asked her if he could come over. And she was like, yeah, you can come over for a little bit because I got to go to sleep because I got to go to work. And then he went over there and she didn't let him in the door. And I'm just like, okay, she told you can come over so that you can stand at the door. And then he left. He was leaving. And when he got to his car, that's when he heard all the pow-pow. He heard the 8 pow-pows. And when he heard the 8 pow-pow said, then he left. Thank you. I don't mind. I don't care what color you are. God told me to speak to women. God did not tell me to speak to black women, Asian women, white. God told me to speak to women. And if we women, and we come in all colors, all shapes, and all sizes. I appreciate you chilling with me for a little bit, Jane. I thank you. But to just to go a little further, he left and then he came back. He said, this is what he told the cops. And after he tried to talk the cops' head off and make them believe all of that, then he goes in and says it's his ex-girlfriend. And he was just coming over there because she told him he could come over there. The cop at the end said that he believes that he came uninvited. And I believe that he came uninvited as well. She had broke up with him 3 weeks prior. She had a friend that said that they had been together for about 1.5 years, and it was a very rocky relationship because he was obsessive and controlling. and very overprotective of her. So if you got babies, young babies, and they going into this dating thing, my whole thing is we have to begin to have relationships with our children. Mine's are grown at this particular point. But I tried to be as conversational as possible as I could while they were growing up. And did we have perfect relationships? Nope. No. But I tried to make sure that the lines of communication were open as much as possible. I know that my daughters have never been in a domestic violence relationship. Have they ever been hurt in relationships? Yes. Have I wanted to choke out some dudes because you hurt my daughters? Yeah. But that's not how any of that works. And they're adults, so they have to live and learn. We don't want them to be hurt. But it is what it is. We can't stop everything. But if we're teaching them, if we are learning to be confident in ourselves and grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, then we pass down better habits to them. That's how all of that works. That is how all of that works. So next we're going to talk about Lady Cop. Let's talk about Lady Cop, because we talking about a little bit, what if the tables was turned? What if the tables was turned? So the Lady Cop came online and she was like, she need her some D. No, but Beyonce called it that vitamin D. And everybody in her chat was just, all's the ladies. They was with it. And if I wasn't watching O'Shea do Jackson, I ain't gonna say I would be with it, because I don't just be out here just online just talking sexually or anything like that. I think that there's a time and a place for everything, but the younger generation is different than we are. But O'Shea said, and it don't have to be a what if, because I hear women speak about and speak on men that speak like that. And we don't like it. We don't like it. We don't want them speaking about just wanting some, and inevitably it's what they want. I don't care if you go out there and the best man finds you. Inevitably it's what he wants. He may want you, and that might be your forever man, but I promise you he wants something. But we don't want to just hear them talking about it on their social media platforms, making us seem like meat. But is that not what you make them seem like when you just out there like, I just need me some D? I just want us to see things from another vantage point, ladies. Sometimes we just have to be able to look at the other side. Welcome, 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 you guys. I appreciate it if you like, share, and subscribe. Come on now. We just have to be able to see things from another side. It's not always, it is super emotional to think that we can have whatever we want and these men can be whatever we want them to be, or supposed to be whatever we want them to be, but we are not supposed to conform to anything they want us to be. Hi, I'm sorry, Kayla. I apologize. I ain't got my glasses on, so I apologize. I am good. How are you? Conformity works both ways. If we want them to be what we want them to be, we have to understand, especially if they are the sole provider. That's good. I hope you're having a good week. If they are the sole provider and you don't have to work, because I have an auntie that does not have to work. She works part-time, but she don't have to work. And my aunt cooks for her husband. She keeps the house clean for her husband. She takes care of her men. Her men. Yes, she does. So it can be done. Now, if y'all are working both full-time jobs, I say that as well because I see things from both sides. If y'all working both full-time jobs, I ain't saying that you just got to be out there doing all the cooking, all the cleaning. If y'all working equally as hard, there's some compromise that needs to be done. But if we talking about him being the provider, him paying all the bills, and your money just going to what you want your my aunt pay for her groceries. That's all. That's all. We have to think about those things. We have to consider that men want to be men. Men are not generally going to be soft. And if you get them to be softer, because a lot of them are extremely hard, and according to the definition of fool, they fall under it too. But so do we, ladies. So do we. Because I'm gonna tell you that the fool ain't particularly somebody that's dumb. We gonna get there though, because I'm about to read this word right quick. I just wanted to talk about officer lady. You are free to say what it is that you want to say, but when we out here on these social media streets, I'm always gonna say that as well. People are free to comment on whatever it is that you want to say, that you have to say. That freedom extends across the board. And a lot of people want to say what they want to say, but they don't want to hear things that don't uplift what it is they're speaking of. They want you to feel how they feel and think how they think and all of that stuff like that. That is just sheep behavior. That is flock behavior. That is, I don't have a free thought for myself. I can't put my thinker on and just have my own opinion about what you said. I can't disagree. We can't agree to disagree up in this piece. That's going to make for some not good conversation there. IJS, that is not going to be good conversation. So real quick, I'm going to read this word, and then we're going to talk about Gym Lady and B. Simone. Gotta put the glass. When I put the glasses on, then I can see what's going on in the chat. I was reading, but I was really having to squint to do so. Okay, so I'm reading Proverbs 18:7. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and don't think that his means that we just talking about the man. That's not how any of this works. If you break down him and things like that, in Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, it'll tell you. It'll tell you. It's speaking about women, men. Sometimes it's speaking about men only. A lot of times it's speaking about women and men. Speaking about God and Jesus. Yes, I do separate them. Yes, I do. On this platform, we separate because I was asked by my Bible study teacher. Well, I was asked by the Bible study booklet that I'm studying out of. Aren't you glad? Oh, man. What time is it? Dang, I can't even see the time. Oh, there it goes. Aren't you glad? My Bible study teacher gonna call in a bit. Aren't you glad to know that Jesus loves us as much as God? No, excuse me, that God loves us as much as Jesus. I said, well, Miss Martha, I'm not gonna answer that question because if it wasn't for God, there'd be no Jesus. So that question is not going to be a yes for me. Because if it wasn't for God, the Most High, who sent Jesus, there'd be no Jesus. Okay. So, a fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. We oftentimes think someone is a fool because they are uneducated. No. A fool is not uneducated. They are not dumb. They are just bad at making choices a lot of times. They are going to act foolishly. The definition broke it down into foolishness as well. Fools oftentimes are going to irritate the people that they are around. You just and you know, you call somebody a fool because they cutting fool. They might be funny. That's why it lists a fool as the court jester, the court clown, and things like that as well. So the fool might be funny. It might not be a bad thing all the time, but it can be a bad thing. It says, who wants to be around or speak to a fool? Like if somebody is really just exhibiting foolish behavior, you just supposing that person is at work and you gotta be around there. Who? Supposing it was Bing Bang Bong Man from Law and Order. I'm catching up on Law and Order Special Victims Unit, and he was he worked in the lab. He turned out to be crazy, but he was crazy before. He was the worst kind of fool. Because it said, one of the definitions on edamonline.com was a madman, an insane person. Bing, bang, bong, man. He was insane. And he worked with Elliot and Olivia. He worked in the lab. So when they needed test results and all that stuff like that, they went to him. But he was so arrogant. Yeah, Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. Stupid, silly, arrogant one, or simpleton. People wear arrogance like a badge. People wear arrogance like a badge, but just like I said at the beginning of this, humble humility, not thinking too highly of oneself, does not say that Sylvie ain't fly. It says Sylvie ain't so fly that can't nobody tell her nothing, because the arrogant, prideful, and the haughty normally cannot be told a thing. That's foolishness, especially when you walk in relationship with the Most High God. You have to be able to be told a thing. It's all. You have to be able to be told a thing, and that don't negate men, because a lot of times men like to look at women and think that we just don't want to be able to be told nothing, but they is some of the most arrogant ones. Ringo TV. I'm always gonna bring back that Ringo. Y'all go check out Ringo TV too. Ringo TV said y'all are evil, but if y'all are evil, how much more we? That's all. That's all. Y'all the leaders. So if y'all the leaders, that means y'all the leaders of the evil. Y'all the leaders of the arrogant. Y'all lead this piece. Y'all the heads. So you had the arrogant, you had the fool. But that ain't for us to take ourselves out of it. Because when we take ourselves out of it, that's when we begin to be just as foolish, if not more foolish than them. Just as arrogant, if not more arrogant than them. God don't like pride, haughty, and arrogant. God likes humility. So when people say they don't desire to be humble, and they don't desire, they don't aspire to humility, because I've heard that in women of power plenty. I have heard plenty the women say that they don't desire humility. They don't aspire to humility. That just means that your head can get so big that God gonna have to come cut your kite strings. There's been a plenty of live where I talk about God cutting the kite string, cut the kite string. Just imagine a kite string being cut on a windy day or a not so windy day. When you cut that kite string and that kite just begins to fly away, it's got to come down at some point somewhere, and it's not going to be a nice landing. So you cannot aspire to humility, but the God will humble you if you don't. Period. Period. It says, and Martha gonna call. I'm gonna have to call her back because I ain't even think about that. My Bible study is today at 6 o'clock. I ain't even studied. I I ain't did nothing. I ain't did the quiz. I ain't did nothing, but I could get it done in a little bit. I'm gonna tell her 7 o'clock. Um, destroys fellowship, relationships, and peace. And a lot of times we think that peace is something that happens because we put people out of our lives. And I ain't saying that you got to keep everybody in your life, but I'm talking about there's some situations you won't be able to get out of. So if you blame the fact that you can't get out of a situation on the fact that you don't have peace, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you. Peace comes from within. Trust me. I have been in situations that had I not had peace, I probably would have pulled the other side of my hair out. Yeah. I be looking back to my pictures before I got my hair cut, and I always wore it. I just said yesterday, it's no wonder that my hair, and I didn't have a choice in this. I had to get a biopsy, and they had to cut my hair when they did the biopsy, but I look at everything as God. God knew that this hair was coming off on the right. It ain't the right side because I would have cut it off over here. So that got me used to. Yeah, because I used to wear it to this side, this side up, and this side down. But anywho, that is totally off of the subject, ain't it? Slanderous, scandalous, and unholy is the fool. Unholy. Let's talk about Geno Jennings, because I was on TikTok and they said what he was talking about Catholics and Baptists, which I totally agree with the denomination thing. It does separate. Because God didn't call us to be Catholic. God didn't call us to be Baptist. God didn't call us to be Pentecostal. To each his own. This is not me knocking nobody for what they do. God didn't call us to be Seventh-day Adventists. God didn't call us to be none of that. God ain't call us to be Christian. Geno said and you thought that they was going to get to read it because you normally hear his people read the scripture, but he gave it to you. He said, go to Leviticus 19, 1 and 2. Oh, that Boo. Boo always call when it's time for Miss Martha to call. Go to Leviticus 19, 1 and 2. So verse 2 is where God says who he is and who he wants us to be. God said, be holy, for I am holy. Holiness is self-analyzation all day long. Holiness has nothing to do with a denomination. Holiness has nothing to do with a church building. Holiness has nothing to do with a pastor. Holiness has nothing to do with a preacher. Holiness has to do with you learning the mind of Christ. Let this mind be in you that was in the Christ. Christ ain't even called himself Christian. We was given that name by the Romans. Not JS. Now, if you find yourself being slanderous and scandalous, you might just fit the definition of a fool. If you find that people that just don't want to be around you and they don't want to speak to you, you might just fit the definition of a fool. If you find that you is highly arrogant, you is a fool. I ain't say it. The commentary did. Nah. So, and Strong's Exhaustive Concordance listed fat as well. That one threw me for a loop because I don't think, and I didn't go and delve into that. I don't think it meant as far as your weight. I'm thinking that fat meaning an expansiveness of arrogance. That's my thought process, but I didn't go research it. So I won't just say that that is the truth, but that's my thought process. When I went to edamonline.com, a jester, ignorant, an insane, sinner. Sinner man, where you gonna run to? Sinner man, where you gonna run to? Where you gonna run to? All on them days. That's that Nina Simone. And when she said she ran to God, God told her to run to the devil. Why? Probably because he ran to all them other places first. So God was like, "Don't come to me now." That's what I get from that song. Ran to the rock. He ran to the river. He ran to the sea. Then he ran to God. God was like, "Run to the devil, because I can't help you. No, I don't hear you down here praying, because you ain't want to talk to me." It's foolish if we call ourselves children of the Most High God and we don't want to confer with God, if we want to make our own rules about things. So let's talk about Gym Lady. Because Gym Lady, and I posted a little video about Gym Lady and Cop Lady the other day, but I didn't really go into any detail about it. So the lady is in the gym and she is taking video of men. Now, please tell me, if you found out that a man was taking a video of you in the gym, that you wouldn't be cutting the fool, that you wouldn't be trying to call the cops, going to the gym heads. You is going to lose your wig if you find out that a man is taking video of you. I know I would. For whatever reason. Because he think you fly. Because he want to put you online. Just imagine you came online. That's what I said in the video. Just imagine you came online and seen yourself viral because somebody done put you online. Somebody done video recorded you in the gym. You just in there gymming. And they done recorded you. And put you online. Not only did this young lady record the men, she was kind of working in the area of entrapment. If the cops can't entrap, what make you feel like it's all right for you to entrap? She was recording them so that she could show wives and girlfriends how the man was looking at her tail. People got eyes, they gonna look. If I see a handsome man, I'm going to look. I'm probably going to look. I'm certain that I've looked at a handsome man when I was married. People have eyes, they're going to look. And when you're in the gym, a lot of times you're probably scantily clad, and I'm not knocking that because guess what? There's a definition in Strong's that says exercise naked, meaning scantily clad. Helps with the sweat. That same definition breaks down Bible study as well. I be studying, y'all. I be studying. But if you're recording him because you're trying to set him up, how does that make you a better person than him just because he's looking? He ain't disrespected you by saying anything out of line. He ain't even tried to holler at you. He just was looking. Probably because he saw something he liked. He saw something that looked good. Looking ain't going to hurt you. If they start speaking and acting on it, acting weird, because Tokyo Tony said, don't be weird. If they start acting weird, then we have an issue. But if they're not acting weird, let her do what it do. That's all. Let her do what it do. I'm thinking we might not be having Bible study because when I say Miss Martha calls at 6 on the dot, Boo call at the same time Miss Martha call every time. I gotta be like, Boo, I'm having Bible study. Boo is my sister cousin. That's my sister cousin. But yes, that's no bueno. That's not cool. What if the tables were turned, ladies? What if the tables was turned on? I want some, it go from I want some D to I want some P. What if the tables was turned and the criteria that the man wanted, he just wanted his criteria, but he wanted you to bend to his every whim? And now we get to Miss B. Simone. And let me tell y'all something. All I said when I saw B. Simone is, because I know she's been out here on the internet streets. What's the other young lady name? Brittany Renner. You know, she went Muslim. B. Simone has turned to Christianity. Blac Chyna turned to Christianity. Tasha K seems to think that Blac Chyna is on a real path where she's not too sure about these other women. This is what I have learned. I really try not to judge. Not because God doesn't have a standard for us, but because this walk is a walk that we have to take. Against God and God only have we sinned. And if we playing in God's face, remember that kite string I just talked about? God don't need you to defend him. God needs us to love people through and allow them to make some mistakes so that they can grow. You gonna know just as well as God gonna know if somebody ain't trying to grow, and then you kick the dirt off your feet and keep it moving. So when I saw B. Simone, I said, well, Lord, she got on a long jacket. It does not look like she's in the church. I'm not trying to make no excuses for her, but just like she said on a podcast, she been B. Simone all her life. She been a Christian for, at that time, she said 10 months. I don't know how old that podcast was. She's been a Christian for 10 months. Everybody don't just get holy overnight. Everybody don't just get holy overnight. And she had on a long jacket. And for the most part, it looks like it was just a conference for women. And I do question if she pulled a Toni Braxton, because I feel like that was a lot for Toni to be out there at her baby's graduation with those clothes on, because that day was supposed to be about him. And sometimes it feels like people do things for the viral moment. But I can't say whether I can just give my opinion on whether they were trying to do it for the viral moment. As Jean said earlier, nobody knows how any person lives. So we don't know if B. Simone is yet praying when she's within the confines of her house. And we don't know that as her relationship expands or grows with the Most High, if she is going to understand that God don't want us out here naked. Everybody was dragging Felicia Rashad because she talked about us being out here naked. God don't want us just out here naked. But I can't really say she was naked. She had on a full shirt. She just had on some short shorts. Look at that girl with them Daisy Dukes on. That's what Be Her Period song. He called them coochie cutters, and I don't even think that they were coochie cutters, because I done seen coochie cutters. Coochie cutters normally have your cheeks out. Her shorts didn't even look like her cheeks was out if she didn't have the jacket on. But I'm glad that she had the jacket on. I am glad that she had the jacket on. Now, on the other side of things, because I said O'Shea makes me to look at the other side of things. On the other side of things, what if that was a prayer warrior up there? Because you didn't really see her cheeks. I said the warrior in the cheeks, and you didn't see her cheeks. You really just saw her thighs. What if that was a prayer warrior up there and he was a man, Buddha? And he had on maybe some tight shorts, and you just saw his bulge. How are we going to feel about that while he's up there praying? Especially if he has an audience full of men. I'd say that if he had an audience full of men and he had some shorts on to show his bulge, we are going to be trying to talk about his sexuality. We would probably call him less of a predator. This is my opinion. We would probably call him less of a predator and just question his sexuality. Think he was out there trying to show all the men's his bulge. We have to be able to see things from the other side. There is always another side. And spiritual growth warrants that we learn how to look at ourselves, look at situations in a whole, and ask ourselves, does this please God? I am not perfect. I will never act as such. But I am learning and have been for years. I have a hard time with things, but I've had harder times with things. Just like this button pushing thing. I'm still working on this button pushing thing. You think God want us just to be, because we'll say, they push my buttons before we cuss them out. Because I'm speaking with a young lady right now that God has put into my view, into my life, basically. And I started talking about allowing my buttons to be pushed, and she was like, this is why because she just came in my Facebook. We've been Facebook friends for quite some time, and she just came in my Facebook and was like, call me. And we've been talking ever since then. And I started that conversation. She hadn't even said the reason why she wanted me to call her or anything like that. I just happened to start speaking about allowing my buttons to be pushed and this journey that God has had me on, and how it is not yet perfected, but it is much better than it was prior to 2016. And I promise you, God was saying it to me before 2016. But in 2016, God banged the gavel. It was like, let me get your attention, gal, 'cause I need you to work on this. Do we have thorns in our side that we may carry to death? Yes, we do. Is the goal to be comfortable? Because that's what somebody said on the Geno Jennings book. Well, we just choose whatever religion makes us comfortable. If religion makes you comfortable, there is no growth in that. That sounds like being okay with being in your emotions. That is no bueno. No, that's not how any of that works. We should never be okay with being in our emotions, allowing our emotions to lead and guide us. God said be led by the Spirit. That's another thing. God don't want us to be haughty, prideful, and arrogant, and God does not want us to be led by our emotions. Be led by the Spirit. That only can be done if you are looking at yourself and if you are not being self-righteous. I have enjoyed chilling with y'all, talking with the chat, all of that good stuff. We done talked about the young lady that said you got to have money. You got to have a J-O-B if you want to be with me. Ain't nothing going on but the rent. Hey, you got to have a J-O-B if you want to be with me. I don't own the rights to any of this music that I meant just popped out and started singing tonight. We also talked about the young man that unalived his girlfriend and just tried to say that a group of people just came and pow her apartment up 8 times because he just couldn't take no. He couldn't take the breakup. That's self-work. And believe you me, it happens the other way around as well, but it happens more to us than it does to them. Doesn't make it right when we do it. Does not make it right. We talked about gym lady out there taking video of folks and trapping them and stuff. We talked about, what are we talking about? Because I'm missing something. Oh yes, cop wanting that D. Cop wanting that D. Cop wanted that vitamin D. How we like it if they come up there talking about what they want. And B. Simone and her booty shorts. B. Simone and her booty shorts. Hello, beautiful. We must always keep in mind that it could happen the other way around. How would you feel if it happened to you? How would you feel if the man came up with a bulge, would be Simone had on her booty shorts? How would you feel if a man was video recording you in the gym, where the woman was recording him trying to entrap him? How would you feel if the man wanted you to bend to his whim, but then did not want to bend to any of your whim? How would you feel if the man was just all online telling you he wanted some pee? Where the cop just wanted to tell everybody she just needed her some D. If you think about that, just chew on those things for a minute, just ponder, you might have a little better understanding for the other side. Beautiful. Sylvie loves you, and she is out. Thank y'all for sitting in.